At the dawn of our republic, a small secret surveillance committee born out of the Sons of Liberty was established in Boston. And the group's members included Paul Revere. At night, they would patrol the streets, reporting back any signs that the British were preparing raids against America's early patriots. Throughout American history, intelligence has helped secure our country and our freedoms. In the Civil War, Union balloons reconnaissance tracked the size of Confederate armies by counting the number of campfires. In World War II, code breakers gave us insights into Japanese war plans. And when Patton marched across Europe, intercepted communications helped save the lives of his troops. After the war, the rise of the Iron Curtain and nuclear weapons only increased the need for sustained intelligence gathering. And so, in the early days of the Cold War, President Truman created the National Security Agency, or NSA, to give us insights into the Soviet bloc and provide our leaders with information they needed to confront aggression and avert catastrophe. Throughout this evolution, we benefited from both our Constitution and our traditions of limited government. U.S. intelligence agencies were anchored in a system of checks and balances, with oversight from elected leaders and protections for ordinary citizens. Meanwhile, totalitarian states like East Germany offered a cautionary tale of what could happen when vast, unchecked surveillance turned citizens into informers and persecuted people for what they said in the privacy of their own homes.
Congressman, I just wanted to ask you, over the last year, it's been almost a year now since the revelations about the NSA spying have come out, and now we have additional revelations about the CIA spying on Senate staffers. I'm wondering if what you think about congressional oversight and whether it's failing, and whether there needs to be some kind of a substantial, significant reform to the congressional oversight process.
And I think the fight with the CIA indicates that there are some within the agency that think it's their job to oversee the overseers.
Congressman Adam Schiff of California, getting into congressional Senate computers and spying on the Senate itself might have changed the game. What are you hearing from others besides the congressman on this question?
The message to the NSA is now coming from every branch of government, from every corner of our nation. NSA, you've gone too far.
They're not abusing authorities in order to listen to your private phone calls or read your emails.
Over the last few months, there have been more reports about potential surveillance of smartphone apps and webcam images and hundreds of millions of text messages. How the NSA is capable of recording all of a foreign country's phone calls and is racing to build a computer that can defeat most kinds of encryption.
Look, let me give you the existential complaint of the American intelligence community. Okay? Here's how it works, living inside America's liberal democracy, of which, by the way, the intel guys are really a part. Okay? American political elites feel very empowered to criticize the American intelligence community for not doing enough when they feel in danger. And as soon as we've made them feel safe again, they feel equally empowered to complain that we're doing too much.
One brief point to this, which is that over the last decade and a half, there have been a number of commissions that have been set up to investigate after a variety of terrorism incidents, 9/11, Fort Hood, the underwear bomber, and so on. Consistently, every one of those commissions has found that we need to eliminate barriers to making use of the information that's lawfully in our possession in order to better protect the nation. And requiring some kind of additional process before we can query this information runs directly contrary to the recommendations of all those commissions.
In 5 areas in the clearance process, 5 separate areas where we have the same person adjudicating, or the same firm adjudicating what was clear, what was investigated. Third, as we've noted, we have 3 different instances in our very remote history where we've obviously failed in terms of our clearances, whether it's Bradley Manning or what happened here at the Navy Yard or what happened at NSA. We have a failure. And the other thing we have is now we know that we have 8,400 people with clearances that don't follow the law when it comes to paying their taxes.
We don't get to know exactly what the NSA had, but I think it's, you know, that plus the warnings from Russia ought to have more discussion. But nevertheless, the NSA was all knowing about Tsarnaev, and it did us no good.
Google, Apple, Twitter, Yahoo, Facebook, just some of the names represented over at the White House.
On December 17th, 2013, executives from Silicon Valley went to the White House.
Some of the country's top tech companies speaking with the...
They had been called in to advise the president on how to fix the administration's troubled healthcare website.
That meeting was supposed to be mainly about healthcare.gov, but the tech officials refused to go along with that agenda, and they made the NSA stuff the #1 subject there. And they, expressed pretty clearly how unhappy they were with the position that they'd been put in.
They raised strong objections with President Obama. The heads and general counsels of major Silicon Valley companies tell the president that what he's authorizing, what the NSA is doing huge damage to their global markets.
All of them deeply concerned with what the NSA has been doing.
We make a tremendous amount of money providing technology and online services and advertising, everything else to people around the world. And all of that goes away if people no longer trust the American government and the companies that are subject to its authority.
The next day, the panel the president had appointed to review NSA policies and programs issued its report.
Those programs are important in the fight against terror.
It found that some programs, like PRISM, had played an important role in preventing terrorist attacks. But it was sharply critical of bulk data collection, dragnet surveillance, and the use of national security letters. It concluded that the NSA was overreaching and that American civil liberties were at risk.
This is all designed for us to be asleep while our rights are being stripped. When is the American people going to wake up and realize that the book 1984 has come about?